Welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty Podcast. Back at it again, coming at you solo. Because it's time to get that gambling content out for week 2. Time to go make some money. Go pay your rent. Go pay your mortgage. But with that said, 5-star review. Man, last week was fantastic-orifico. Let's see. Basically, had a great week last week. Coming at you making that money. But dropped on the lock last week. The Titans just went out there and fucking blew that shit. They was up 17-0. Will Levis starts doing all that Will Levis stuff. Throws a pick 6. The Bears defense takes over. The formula was right. Took the L though. Man, good lord. Titans, man. Can't trust them. Can't trust them. With that said though, game lines last week. Personally, I went 2-1. Total as a team, the crew were 3-3, 50%, not bad. But those over and unders, good lord. Man, these guys got to give them credit. Craftman, C Swizzy, Noah Dick Blower hitting at a 70% rate last week, 7 for 10. That's big time money, man. Everybody, you need to go take. Here's the advice I got to give you. You got to go. I'm going to be naming off over and unders today. They gave out a shit ton. I got a bunch more to go for today. Man, you should go through them, take the ones that you like out of the ones that they like, and go make some money. That's what I did last week, and I turned $5 into 60. So these guys are hitting, and they're going to hit this week too. So last week, just a crazy good week, gambling-wise, hitting at a high rate. 50% on the game line, 70% on the over and unders. And man, we got a whole slate. Because this is just what we do. Got a whole slate. Let me get a sip of that blue Powerade. Got a whole slate for you. Look, man, here's the thing. When we look at these lines, we discuss them. We're looking at game lines. We're looking at over and unders. We go through and we talk about it. And try to give you the best ones. So if we will only put bets on ones that we like. That's pretty much what I'm saying. So if we only like one bet, we'll only place one bet for the whole week. I'll hop on this podcast right here and say, hey, this is the only bet we placing all week. All the lines suck. But I got a whole slate for you for week 2. We coming at you. I got about, 8, 9 game lines. I got a lock of the week. I got 6. I'm looking at 16 over and unders from Noah Dick Blower, from the Craft Man, from C Swizzy, going out there making money. C Swizzy had like 4 or 5 different parlays set and made money on every single one of them. All right. Let's just start it from the top, though. Game lines. Well, heck, let's just start it with tonight. Tonight is Buffalo and Miami. Thursday night football, week 2. Go set your lineups. Get those players on your team. Get them out your flex spots. Put them in your wide receiver spots. Put them in your running back spots. But week 2 is here upon us. And heck, some of us decided we're going to throw some money on it. I'm going to take the under on Buffalo and Miami. The under set at 49. Man, I ain't going to lie. I think earlier in the week I saw the under was at 51. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Man, sometimes you got to hop on these lines earlier in the week. There's another example. I'm going to talk about it later with San Fran. The line was just so sweet, but then it changes just like that. So sometimes you just got to hop on it. Under at 49. I think the Craft Man, he kind of likes that one. He didn't lock that one in, but let's see. Chris. I wanted to say Chris had it. Nope. But C Swizzy got, P Miller. Poor man P Miller got Buffalo on the money line. It was money line week for Buffalo, for P Miller. He said it's a lot of trap weeks, a lot of trap games, and he's got a lot of money lines. So I'll dig into what Phil got going later, but yeah, pretty much under Buffalo versus Miami. Hi, I think I'll just start it from the top. We got to bounce back from our lock of the week. We got to bounce back. 0 for 1. There was a time where I think it was 2 years ago we were on a streak. I don't even know if we lost that whole year until Jacoby Myers and them threw that little lateral backwards, fucking us up. This week's lock of the week, locking it in. Tampa Bay +7 versus Detroit. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin looking good. I don't know. See, Swizzy, he thinks Tampa Bay's going to win outright, but we all locked in on Tampa Bay +7 versus Detroit. And Kraftman likes the under at 51.5, and I agree. I like the under too. Tampa Bay's underrated. Baker Mayfield's underrated. That dude is balling out. I think Baker Mayfield might be underdrafted. Heck, I got him on my team. He's on the bench every week, going off, pissing me off. So yeah, Tampa Bay +7 versus Detroit. Gonna be a banger. You definitely want the players in that game. And like I said, Kraftman, Chris, and Matt, all of us, I'm just saying my own name, me, all agree Tampa Bay +7. That's a lot of points. Next, me personally, I got San Fran -6 versus Minnesota. And man, it was like Tuesday, 3 in the morning. I don't even know, but it was in the middle of the night and I was looking at that line. No, it was real early in the morning. And it was San Francisco -5, and I was like, oh, man, look at that line right there. I wanted to lock that in real quick, but like I said, I usually talk over with the fellas. Man, I should have just locked it in. But the line did -6. I took it, -6. That is the play. I would even take it at 6.5, 7 would be stretching it. But San Fran, they ain't going to miss a beat. Minnesota, Sam Darnold, ain't happening. Lock that one in for me. San Fran -6 versus Minnesota. What else we got? The Kraft man. He's got the Cowboys -6.5 versus New Orleans. Derek Carr, New Orleans. Yep, look, Cowboys, man. That's the thing, man. They just beat the shit out of the Browns last week. And they was in that game script. CD couldn't go off for me. It is what it is, though. But Kraftman, just riding the Cowboys. He hit on the Cowboys last week. I was iffy on it. I didn't know what to think. But, hey, they don't skip a beat. Kraftman riding the Cowboys. Chris, Chargers, -6.5 versus Carolina. I like this one. I might throw some money on this one myself. Chargers, -6.5 versus Carolina. Man, they got the shit beat out of them last week. And I've been sitting here all offseason talking about, hey, Carolina, I ain't going to say they bad. Listen, man, I ain't going to say they bad. It's just week 1. I ain't going to overreact, but good Lord. Lordy. Chris, he also liked the Giants versus Washington. The over set at 44. I was reading some articles. I've seen a lot of experts out there picking on this one. Giants versus Washington over 44. And I believe it because Washington's defense stinks. So if Daniel Jones and there go out there and do what they got to do, we'll touch on that a little bit later when we talk a little bit about some DFS. But Giants, Washington, over 44. And Chris has got the Rams money line. The money line is set at -102 right now on my bookie. So it's pretty much a pick 'em. That one is close for me. I'm staying away from that one because I do like the Cardinals, but I don't know. I'm with Chris. The Rams, just because Puka's out, they still going to go out there and do that thing. What's the one? Let's see. All right, before I touch on all the money lines Phil's got, I got one thing I got set up, and I got me a 2-leg parlay. I don't do this too often, but when I see games that I think are going to win straight up, I like to do money line 2-leggers. Just win the game. And pick 2. So, all right. So, basically, Colts, money line versus Green Bay. Jordan Love is out. What's his face is in there? Malik Willis starting. I think the Packers are good. I think they'll give them a tough fight. And the poor man, P. Miller, even put money on the Packers money line in Lambeau. I don't blame him. Got him at +144. I can't roll with it. I'm on the opposite side of that. I'm going to roll with the Colts. And I've been down on the Colts, but I think Anthony Richardson, if he could just hit on 3 or 4 bombs, that might just be enough to get them over the top to get a win at Green Bay. Played Houston tough last week. Gave them a tougher fight than what I was expecting. So, I'm gonna give the Colts a little bit of credit. I'm gonna give them the respect, and I think they get the win versus Green Bay. Kraft man don't like it. He don't like me betting to get his Green Bay Packers. And listen, I told the Kraft man I put a futures bet on the Packers to win the Super Bowl, and they done messed me up after week 1. All right, so I took the Colts money line and I parlayed that up with the Pittsburgh Steelers money line versus Denver. It's in Denver. Sean Payton, Bo Nix. But listen, man, this is just what Mike Tomlin does. He just went right into Atlanta. That defense took over the game. Old TJ Watt out there balling. And they made that a grinded out game when the Falcons did not want it. They were not prepared for that game. Mike Tomlin's going to have them ready to go again. And Justin Fields is just going to make enough plays. And they're going to kick them 50-yard field goals. I mean, that guy, whoever it was, Boswell, whoever it was, hit 3 or 4 50-yard field goals. So, Pittsburgh, pair that up with the Colts, man, guarantee it, baby. I love that one. That one might be my most confident bet of the week. All right, Phil, he said this week he goes trap. He feels like there's a lot of trap games involved this week. So he's got a lot of money lines. So he took the money line, which is to win the game outright. Buffalo, Jacksonville, Seattle, Washington, Rams, and Chargers this week. And Green Bay. So he's just taking them to win outright, trying to win more than what you lose. So I'm with it. I examined every one of those money lines. Got me a couple. So here we go. So real quick, I'm going to just rattle them off real quick. I'll have it in the description, but Tampa Bay +7, San Francisco -6, the under in Buffalo and Miami, Colts money line, Pittsburgh money line, Cowboys -6.5, the Tampa Bay Detroit under at 51.5, Chargers -6.5, Tampa Bay +7.5. Already Giants Washington over 44, Rams money line, and then money lines on Buffalo, Jacksonville, Seattle, Washington, Rams, Chargers lock of the week, Tampa Bay +7. We got to bounce back, man. Can't go 0-2. You go 0-2 on the lock? How can you have a great week and lose on the lock? Fucking Will Lev. All right. Over, unders. Man, listen, man. I can't help it. I got to brag on my guys. I got to brag on them. C. Swizzy, Noah Dick Blower, and the Kraft, man. Like I said, 70% last week. 7 for 10. I got 16 over and unders right here in front of my face. I almost don't even want to give them to you. I might keep them for myself. Here I am. Isiah Pacheco over 65.5 rushing yards. And that one was the most common one. If there was like a lock of the week, we might just start adding that to their over and unders. If there was a lock, Isiah Pacheco over 65.5. And that's because Ramondre Stevenson ran for over 100 yards against the Bengals last week. My guy Ramondre, I know Craftman did not like that, but Isiah Pacheco got to take it. I'll probably take it myself. Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen over 0.5 passing touchdowns. Then we got a kicker, Tyler Bass, over 1.5 field goals. Heck, that one might even be one of them ones with the little demons on it. And I'll get into that because Chris got a whole little slate of these demon bets, and I'm going to read them off. And that's how you win that extra money. Less likely to hit, but if you hit them. But honestly, I'm sitting here looking at these lines, and I like a lot of them. Chris said the same thing. Baker Mayfield over 252.5 passing yards. Brian Robinson Jr. over 65.5 rushing yards. Isaiah Likely over 3.5 receptions. Tyreek Hill over 0.5 reception or rushing touchdowns. James Cook over 86.5 rushing and receiving yards. Tua over 4.5 rushing yards. Tua, go get 5 yards, man. Let's see. All right, so real quick, those were the ones that I named off right there. I'm going to name off these next ones, and this is going to be in the little demon category. So if you go to Underdog Fantasy, some of them will have a little demon category or a spicy emoji or something, to increase your odds, and it'll win you more money. Well, Chris, he got a whole little slate for him. And real quick, J.K. Dobbins over 0.5 touchdowns. I don't even understand how that is one. I feel like that one's a pretty good one. I might throw money on that one. Against the Panthers, he might could get one touchdown. Jayden Daniels over half rush, 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Man, Xavier Worthy over 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Saquon Barkley over 1.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. I knew when I read that one, 2 touchdowns, I was like, that's spicy right there. I knew that was in the spicy category. Taysom Hill over 0.5 receiving touchdowns going against the Panthers. Man, Taysom Hill getting a touchdown this week. Man, I did forget to read that one off. It's not in the demon category, but McConkey over 3.5 receptions against the Panthers. A lot of Chargers bets. Even got Chargers in the game line. Got Chargers in the over and under. But real quick, I'm going to read them all again. And listen, it's like I said, I'm going to say this every single episode. You should take this episode and go tell your friend to go listen to this episode or any gambling episode and be like, yo, the crew comes out with these over and unders and they smacking on these like crazy. What you do is you take the ones that you like the best out of the ones that we've zeroed down. So 16 of them for your ass. Isiah Pacheco over 65.5 rushing yards. Brock Purdy over 1.5 pass touchdowns. Josh Allen over 0.5 pass touchdowns. Baker Mayfield over 252.5 passing yards. Brian Robinson Jr. over 65.5 rushing yards. Isaiah Likely over 3.5 receptions. J.K. Dobbins over 0.5 touchdowns. Jayden Daniels over 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Tyreek Hill over 0.5 receiving or rushing touchdowns. James Cook over 86.5 rushing and receiving yards. Tua over 4.5 rushing yards. Xavier Worthy over 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Saquon Barkley over 1.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Taysom Hill over 0.5 receiving touchdowns. And Ladd McConkey over 3.5 receptions. And that will conclude the over and unders. And listen, it'll all be in the descriptions. You can add me on Twitter. It'll be on the thread or whatever the hell you want to call it. Listen, DFS. I don't really know how to. Let's see. How do we get to it? Okay, here we go. I got the Craft Man's lineup right here, or at least most of it. Sheesh. Oh yeah. All right. So Craftman enters along. I'm gonna just read off one. Listen, these fellas, I get about 3 lineups every week. And pretty much, I'm just going to rattle off one of them every week, and I'm going to do the Craftmans this week. And DFS, I got a few notes for you right here for those of you that like to play the daily fantasy. The Poor Man P. Miller, C. Swizzy, and the Craftman, they like to dive into these. So for cheap running back plays, J.K. Dobbins, Brian Robinson Jr., those are your cheaper plays right there. I know, or at least your values at running back. I know one of them had the over on the Brian Robinson carries. Let me see. 65.5 rushing yards. I thought so. One of them had. Oh, last week they hit on Brian Robinson for 13.5 carries last week. So put him in your lineup. Put Dobbins in your lineup. You know he's cheap. Go out there and get him. A cheap stack for you. Herbert, McConkey, the crew, loving the Chargers versus the Panthers. Loving it. There's money everywhere on them. Herbert versus McConkey. Herbert and McConkey stack versus Carolina. Jordan Mason. And the Craftman says he's in a long shot tournament. So he's got Daniel Jones as his quarterback. Because you want to get into the 1% to make that money. So he goes Daniel Jones at the quarterback. for the long shot tournament. You don't want to be in the 50. You got to do something straight up different. So he goes Pacheco at his running backs, Brian Robinson as his running back, Cooper Kupp, Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown, George Kittle, Jaguars D. I can't even see his lineup. The sucker done cut the picture out. Nah, I'm just kidding. He's got George Kittle on there. George Kittle as his tight end. So let me read that again. Daniel Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Robinson Jr., Cooper Kupp, Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra, George Kittle, Jags D, long shot tournament. Crabman, good luck. And that is your DFS for this week. And listen, man, that was a whole slate I just read out to you. Check us out on Twitter, or at least check me out, Crew Matt Ham. I'll have all this. You'll have the episode posted. It'll have every one of our bets placed. If you look on the episode in the description, it'll have every single bet that we have placed, every over and under. I'm putting in this work. The team, we putting in this work for you and for us, because we just like doing this shit. This is what we do. So let's get this out there. Let's make that money. 5-star review. What else should I say? Go tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to add the podcast. But with that said, that is it. Go make some money, and we out.